My name is Amelia, and I'm a freelance graphic designer. My sister Olivia is 35. She's married to Mike, and they have 4 children. Jack is 12, Ava is 10, James is 8, and Aria is 6. Our mom, Evelyn, is 62, and she has always had a favorite. Guess who it wasn't? For the past 8 years, our family had this tradition of spending 2 weeks every summer at my mom's beach cottage in North Carolina. It's not a small place. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a beautiful view of the ocean, more than enough space for a normal family vacation. Right? Wrong. Every single year, without fail, my mom would call me in March with the exact same speech. Amelia, honey, I'm so sorry, but there just isn't enough room at the beach house this year. Olivia's family is so big now, and you know how the kids need their space. Maybe next year we can figure something out. Next year never came. Because while I was being told there wasn't enough room, Olivia was being treated like royalty. My mom would spend weeks getting everything ready for them, filling the house with all their favorite food, buying new beach toys for the kids, making sure every detail was perfect, rolling out the red carpet. Olivia's family would arrive and spread out across the entire house, leaving their things everywhere, acting like they owned the place, like they were the only ones who mattered. And the worst part was my kids. Every summer, Alex and Mia would ask me the same question. Mom, why can't we go to Grandma's beach house like our cousins? Alex was 9. Mia was 7. What was I supposed to tell them? That their grandmother didn't think we were important enough? Because this was never just about space. This was 8 years of watching my mom go above and beyond for Olivia while treating me like an afterthought. Olivia married her college boyfriend right after graduation, had 4 kids in 6 years. That made her the golden child. Mike worked in sales. He made a decent living, but nothing extraordinary. Still, somehow, they were always presented as the successful ones. And me? I started my graphic design business from scratch 4 years ago, after my divorce. I worked constantly, 12-hour days, sometimes more, trying to grow my client base, trying to keep things stable for my kids. But because I worked from home and didn't have a traditional 9-to-5 job, my mom always assumed I was unemployed. Amelia is still figuring things out, she would tell people at family gatherings. Like I hadn't built anything. Like I was just drifting. Olivia loved to add to that. Anytime we were together, she'd make these small comments. Must be nice to have such a flexible schedule. I could never handle not knowing where my next paycheck is coming from. Always with that fake, sweet smile. The beach house situation was just the clearest example of everything. Every year I would see Olivia posting photos from their vacation. Perfect pictures. The kids building sandcastles, Mike grilling on the deck, Olivia relaxing in a hammock with a drink. Meanwhile, me and my kids stayed home. Maybe we went to the local pool. Maybe we watched movies. That was it. That was our version of summer. Last summer was the breaking point. I had just landed the biggest client of my career. A software company hired me to completely redesign their brand. It was a 6-figure contract, the kind of opportunity that could change everything for us. I was excited, proud, and I wanted to share it. So at my mom's birthday party in June, I told her, "That's wonderful, dear," she said when I explained the deal. Then she smiled and added, "Maybe now you can think about getting a more stable job." Olivia laughed. "Come on, Mom," she said. "Amelia likes playing around on her computer. It's not like she's building a real career." I didn't say anything. I just smiled, like I always did. But later that evening, when my mom started her usual speech about the beach house, Olivia decided to push it further. "You know, Amelia," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "maybe if you had a real job, you could afford your own vacation. The rest of us shouldn't have to sacrifice our family time because you can't get your life together." My mom nodded. "She has a point, honey. Mike works so hard, and those kids deserve their vacation. Maybe when you're more established." Same words, same tone. 8 years. Nothing changed. I smiled again. "Of course," I said. "I understand. I hope you all have a great time." But inside, I was done. Completely done. That contract was just the beginning. Word started spreading about my work. More clients came in, then more. I raised my rates, started choosing who I worked with. By October, I had enough steady income to hire 2 people. By December, I signed 3 more major corporate clients. By February, I was looking at office space and thinking about expanding into digital marketing. The money was coming in. Real money. But I didn't tell my family. I kept driving my old Honda. Kept living in the same house, same clothes. As far as they knew, I was still playing on my computer. In March, right around the time my mom would normally call me with her not enough room speech, I made a decision. I found a property about 2 hours away from her beach house. It wasn't huge, 12 rooms, a small restaurant, a private stretch of beach. But it had potential, a lot of it. The previous owners had run it into the ground and were desperate to sell. So I bought it, for a fraction of what it was worth, and immediately hired a management company to handle the daily operations while I focused on renovating it. By May, it looked completely different. I invested around $200,000 into renovations, new furniture, completely redesigned rooms, everything fresh, clean, modern. We added an infinity pool overlooking the ocean, built a kids' play area that honestly looked better than some theme parks. The restaurant was upgraded to a full 5-star experience. The whole place looked like something out of a luxury travel magazine. I named it Seaside Haven Resort, and it was mine, all mine. We did a soft opening in June, just a few guests at first, to test everything, work out any issues. There weren't many. The reviews were incredible. Bookings started coming in fast. The entire summer was filling up quickly. Meanwhile, Olivia was posting her usual content online. Photos of the kids shopping for beach clothes, Mike loading the car, captions about their annual family tradition. Same routine, same house, same people. My mom called me at the end of June, right on time. "Amelia, honey, I'm so sorry, but..." "I know, Mom," I said. "Not enough room." She paused. "Oh, well, yes." "I'm glad you understand." "No problem," I replied calmly. "We already have plans this year anyway." "Oh, that's wonderful, dear. Where are you going?" "Just a small place I found," I said. Nothing special. In the first week of July, I drove to Seaside Haven with my kids. I had booked us the best suite in the resort. 2 bedrooms, private balcony, direct beach access. The moment we walked in, my kids just stopped. "Mom," Mia said quietly, "this place is amazing." Alex looked around, almost in disbelief. "Are we really staying here?" he asked. "For 2 weeks?" "Yes," I smiled. "We are." Those 2 weeks were something we had never experienced before. Private beach, incredible food from the restaurant, swimming in the infinity pool every day. Activities I had arranged for them, horseback riding, deep-sea fishing, kayaking, things we had never been able to afford before, and watching them enjoy it made every hour I had worked worth it. But that wasn't even the best part. In August, I started making calls. First, I called my Uncle Benjamin and Aunt Carol, my mom's brother and his wife. They had always been kind to me and my kids. "Hey, Uncle Ben," I said, "I want to invite you guys to spend Labor Day weekend at a resort. All expenses paid. Food, activities, everything. I just want to do something special for family." There was a pause. "Amelia, that's incredibly generous," he said, "but we couldn't possibly accept that." "I insist," I replied. "I've had a really good year. I want to share it with people who matter to me." Then I called my cousin David. His wife had recently lost her job and money had been tight. "Dave, how would you feel about a long weekend at a 5-star resort?" My treat. "I know things have been tough. I thought your family could use a break." I kept calling. My dad's sister, second cousins, families who had always treated us well, people who made my kids feel included when others didn't. By the time I was done, I had invited 22 people. I booked the entire resort, every room, hired a private chef, planned activities for all ages. Everything. There was just one thing I didn't do. I didn't invite my mom or Olivia. Labor Day weekend came, and it was incredible. Everyone was amazed by the resort. They kept asking how I could afford something like this. I just smiled and said I had a good year. On Saturday evening, Uncle Benjamin pulled me aside. "Amelia, this is unbelievable," he said. "You've really built something amazing here. Your mom must be so proud." I shrugged slightly. "She doesn't know about it," I said. He frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean I didn't invite her, or Olivia." He looked confused. "But why? This is a family gathering." I looked at him. "For 8 years," I said calmly, "Mom told me there wasn't enough room at her beach house for me and my kids. Every summer. Every single year. Because Olivia's family took up too much space." I paused. "So this year, I hosted my own family gathering. And unfortunately, there just wasn't enough room for everyone." The truth spread quickly through the group. Most of them already knew. They had heard the excuses over the years, heard Olivia's comments. Some of them had even quietly questioned my mom before. Monday morning, as everyone was leaving, my phone started ringing. It was my mom. "Amelia, where are you?" she asked. "Benjamin just called me with some ridiculous story about you owning a resort." "That can't be true." "It's true," I said. There was silence. "Then what? How is that even possible?" "You don't have that kind of money." "Apparently I do." Another pause. "Amelia, I don't understand. If you could afford something like this, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you invite us?" I let that sit for a second. "You told me there wasn't enough room at your beach house," I said. "I'm telling you there isn't enough room at my resort." "That's completely different," she said quickly. "The beach house is—" "What, Mom?" I interrupted. "Not big enough for everyone." "Well, yes." "Exactly," I said. "Neither is my resort." "But Amelia, we're family." "Funny how you remember that now," and I hung up. About 20 minutes later, Olivia called. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she snapped the second I answered. "Mom is crying. How could you do this to us?" "Do what?" I asked calmly. "Have a family gathering?" "You know exactly what I mean," she said. "You deliberately excluded us." "The way you excluded me and my kids for 8 years?" I replied. "That's different," she said quickly. "The beach house really isn't big enough for everyone. And my resort isn't big enough for everyone either," I said. There was a pause. "Funny how that works." "This is petty," she snapped. "And honestly, it's cruel. Amelia, you're better than this." "No," I said quietly. "I'm exactly this. I'm tired of being treated like the failure of the family when I work twice as hard as anyone else. I'm tired of watching my kids get left out because you decided your family matters more than mine." The line went silent for a second. Then she spoke again, sharper this time. The weeks that followed were intense. My mom started calling me every day, sometimes crying, sometimes angry, but always asking the same question. Why was I doing this to them? "I raised you better than this, Amelia," she said one day. "This isn't how family treats each other." "You're right," I replied. "This isn't how family treats each other." Which is exactly the problem. "I never excluded you," she insisted. "There genuinely wasn't enough room." "There was room," I said. "You just chose to give it all to Olivia." "Every year, every single year. You made my kids feel like they didn't matter," I continued. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Did you think they wouldn't?" Olivia took a different approach. She started calling other family members, telling them I was being dramatic, that I was hurting innocent children over something that wasn't even real. But the people who had been at the resort, they knew the truth. They had heard everything over the years. They had seen how it played out. Uncle Benjamin actually called my mom. "Evelyn," he said, "you owe Amelia an apology. That girl has been nothing but gracious for years, while you treated her like a second-class family member. And now she's successful, and instead of punishing anyone, she's sharing it with people who actually appreciate her." Aunt Carol backed him up. "The way Olivia talks to Amelia is not okay," she said. "I've heard those comments about her job. They were mean. Plain and simple. Amelia has every right to celebrate her success with people who support her." While all of this was happening, my business was thriving. The resort was fully booked. Word of mouth from that Labor Day weekend spread fast. I hired more staff, extended the restaurant hours, started planning winter upgrades, including a spa. My graphic design business was growing too. I was charging higher rates, taking on bigger projects, building a reputation. For the first time in a long time, I felt confident, not just in my work, but in myself. My kids were thriving too. They were proud of me, happy, and for once they weren't asking why they weren't invited somewhere. They understood. We had our own place now. Thanksgiving was coming. It was always held at my mom's house. She called me in early November. "Amelia, I hope you'll come for Thanksgiving," she said. "I know things have been difficult, but family should be together." I paused. "Will there be enough room for everyone?" I asked. "Of course there will," she said quickly. "Don't be ridiculous." "Interesting," I replied. "Your table seats 8. Olivia's family is 6. You and Dad make 8. So where exactly are me and my kids supposed to sit?" There was a pause. "We'll figure something out," she said. "We always do." I almost laughed. "Right," I said. "Olivia's family gets the main table, and we get folding chairs in the kitchen. Thanks, but we'll pass." Amelia, you're being unreasonable. No, I said. I'm being realistic. For the first time, I'm being realistic about how this family actually works. Instead, I invited Uncle Benjamin's family, Aunt Nancy's family, the Martinez family. We had Thanksgiving dinner at the resort. Plenty of space, plenty of food, kids running around the beach after dinner, no tension, no awkwardness, just peace. In December, my mom called again. Amelia, I was thinking maybe we could do Christmas at your resort this year. It would be nice for everyone to see what you've built. That's a generous idea, I said. But the resort is fully booked through New Year's. But surely you could make an exception for family, she said. I didn't even hesitate. I can make exceptions for family that treats me like family. Silence. What do you want from me, Amelia? She asked finally. Do you want an apology? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you felt excluded from the beach house. I didn't say anything for a second. No, I said. You weren't making me feel anything. You were excluding me. There's a difference. Olivia has 4 children and I have 2, my mom said after a pause. Apparently your math says 4 is more important than 2. She didn't answer. She just hung up. Christmas morning, I spent at home with Alex and Mia, just the 3 of us. Then later that day, we drove to the resort. I had invited the same group as before, people who had been there for us, people who treated us like we mattered. There were about 25 of us. Everyone except my mom, my dad, Olivia, and her family. And honestly, it was the best Christmas I'd had in years. No passive-aggressive comments about my career, no watching my kids get smaller, cheaper gifts than their cousins, no feeling like we were supposed to be grateful for scraps of attention. Just good food, real laughter, people who appreciated what I had built. That night, standing on the deck of the resort, watching fireworks over the ocean with my kids beside me, I made a decision. I was done apologizing for my success, done shrinking myself to make other people comfortable, done accepting less than I deserve just because someone shared my DNA. The resort had proven something to me. I wasn't the failure they had made me feel like for years. I was someone who had built something real, something beautiful. My kids were proud of me. The people who mattered saw that. And that was enough. My mom called me on New Year's Day. Amelia, I want to fix things between us, she said. What would it take? I didn't hesitate. It would take you admitting that you treated me unfairly for years. It would take you acknowledging that there was always room at the beach house. You just chose to give it to Olivia. It would take you apologizing to my kids for making them feel unwanted. Silence. Then, I can't apologize for decisions I made in the best interest of the family. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Then we don't have anything to talk about. You're really going to throw away our relationship over a vacation house? She asked. I'm not throwing anything away, I said. I'm just done pretending that being related means I have to accept being treated badly. I'm done teaching my kids that family means settling for less. Months passed. 6 months since I bought the resort. Business was incredible. I was already looking at a second property. My graphic design business had grown into a full digital agency. I had 8 employees. My kids were thriving, happy, confident. They understood their worth. They weren't asking why they weren't invited anymore. They didn't feel like second choice. Some relatives tried to mediate between me and my mom. I wasn't interested. I had spent too many years being the one who kept the peace, making excuses, smoothing things over. Not anymore. Olivia sent me a friend request on Facebook. I declined it. My mom started sending me articles about forgiveness, about healing family relationships. I deleted them without reading. By June, the resort was fully booked until September. We had waiting lists for weekends. Corporate groups were booking months in advance. Everything I had built was working. One evening, we were sitting on the veranda having dinner. Mom, Alex said, Jack asked me at school why we don't go to Grandma's beach house anymore. Jack was Olivia's oldest. They went to the same school. I had been expecting that question. What did you tell him? I asked. I told him we have our own place now, Alex said. He said it looks cooler than Grandma's house. I smiled slightly. The resort had grown a strong social media presence. I posted regularly. Sunsets, families, happy moments. It wasn't meant to be petty, but I knew Olivia saw it. He asked if he could come visit, Alex added. I told him I didn't know if his mom would let him. That part stung a little. The kids were innocent in all of this. But I wasn't ready to open that door. Not yet. In July, my cousin Rachel got engaged. The wedding was set for October. It would be the first big family event since everything had happened. David called me personally. Amelia, I know things are complicated right now, he said, but Rachel really wants you there. She asked me to make sure you knew how important it was to her. I thought about it for a week. Rachel had always been kind. She didn't deserve drama on her wedding day. I'll be there, I finally said, but I'm bringing security. Security? He repeated. Just one person, I said. Someone to make sure things don't get out of hand if Olivia decides to cause a scene. The wedding was beautiful. Held at a vineyard about an hour outside the city, I arrived with Alex and Mia. They were dressed perfectly, confident, like they belonged anywhere. And for the first time, they really did. My mom noticed us almost immediately during the cocktail hour. She walked over carefully, like she wasn't sure what to expect. Amelia, you look wonderful, she said. The kids have grown so much. Thank you, I replied. How have you been? I heard the resort is doing very well. It is. She waited, like she expected me to say more. I didn't. After a few seconds, she tried again. I've been thinking about our conversation at Christmas. Maybe we could talk sometime soon. Maybe, I said. Olivia appeared beside her, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Hi, Amelia. Olivia? The kids look nice, she said, glancing toward Alex and Mia. They do. The conversation was short, awkward. Other relatives kept drifting toward us, like they expected some kind of reconciliation right there at the wedding. I wasn't interested in making anyone comfortable anymore. When dinner started, I noticed something interesting. The seating arrangement. Rachel had placed me and my kids at the main family table, right between Uncle Benjamin's family and Aunt Nancy's family. My mom and Olivia? They were seated at a different table, with Olivia's kids and Mike. Rachel had made her choice. During the reception, Rachel came up to me while everyone was dancing. Auntie, thank you so much for coming, she said. I know things are complicated right now, but I really wanted you here. Your wedding isn't about family drama, I told her. I'm here for you. She smiled. I just want you to know what you did with the resort weekend. That was amazing. Cousin David's family still talks about it all the time. They said it was the best vacation they've ever had. I'm glad they enjoyed it, I said. And I want you to know something else, she added quietly. I see how hard you work. Not everyone in the family gives you credit for it, but some of us do. That meant more than she probably realized. Later that night, Olivia cornered me near the bar. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. Yes, we do. This has gone on long enough. You're tearing the family apart. I'm not tearing anything apart, I said. I'm just not participating in my own mistreatment anymore. Oh, please, she said. Mistreatment? You're being dramatic. 8 years, Olivia, I said. 8 years of being told there wasn't room for my kids. 8 years of your comments about my job, my life. 8 years of watching my kids feel like they didn't matter while yours got everything. That wasn't personal, she said quickly. I was just being honest. Honest about what? My situation, she said. I looked at her. You mean the situation where I built a 6-figure business from nothing while raising 2 kids alone? That situation? She hesitated. You act like you're so successful now, she said. But where was all this money before? Why didn't you have a stable job when your kids were little? Because I was building something better than a stable job, I said. I was building a business. I was investing in my future instead of settling. She scoffed. I have a good marriage and 4 kids. I'm happy. And I'm happy for you, I said. But that doesn't give you the right to treat me like I'm less than you because I chose a different path. She glanced around to make sure no one was listening, then leaned in. You want to know the truth? She said. Mom was trying to protect you. Protect me? She knew you couldn't afford to contribute to the vacation the way we could. She didn't want to embarrass you. I stared at her. I offered to pay every single year, I said. Every year I told her I could cover my share. She never once asked. Olivia blinked. That's not how I remember it. That's because you weren't part of those conversations, I said. You just assumed I was broke because it made you feel better. At that moment, Marcus stepped closer. He was the security I had brought. Everything okay here, Miss Amelia? Olivia looked shocked. You actually brought security to a family wedding? I brought insurance against drama, I said. Looks like it was a good decision. I walked away before she could respond. Monday morning, my phone rang. It was Uncle Benjamin. I heard things got tense at the wedding, he said. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said. Olivia had a few drinks and decided it was time for a conversation. He chuckled softly. David said you handled it well. He also mentioned the security. Smart move, he added. Honestly, I might do the same next time. That made me laugh, but it also made me realize something. I wasn't the only one who had been walking on eggshells for years. By October, I was already looking for a second property. A business partner had reached out after hearing about the resort's success. A mountain retreat, more rooms, more potential. While the deal was being finalized, the resort continued, fully booked, constant growth, and for the first time in my life, everything felt stable, real earned. A week later, Olivia called again. Her voice was different this time, quieter. Amelia, can we talk? Really talk? What do you want to talk about? I asked. I want to apologize, she said. That stopped me. I've been thinking about what you said at the wedding, she continued. I called Mom. I asked her about the money, about you offering to pay. She said it was just easier to only have one family there. I didn't say anything. I also asked her about the comments she made about your job, Olivia added. She said she thought she was helping. She thought if she pushed you, you'd find something more stable. I let out a small breath. What do you think? I asked. There was a pause. I think I was jealous, she said quietly. Jealous of what? Of your freedom, your creativity. The fact that you were building something that was yours. She exhaled. My life is good, but it's predictable. We do the same things every year. You were creating something new. And instead of supporting you, she added, I tried to tear you down. Because it made me feel better. I stayed silent for a moment. I'm sorry, Amelia, she said. I'm sorry for the comments, for supporting Mom, for making you feel like you weren't enough. Thank you, I said. There was another pause. Is there any chance we could start over? She asked. Not like before, just something different. I thought about it. Maybe, I said, but it won't be the same. I'm not going back to being the person who accepts less just to keep the peace. I understand, she said. Would it be okay if I brought the kids to the resort sometime? As paying guests, she added quickly. I'd be happy to have you as guests, I said. But things are different now. I know, she said softly. Maybe that's a good thing. People always say blood is thicker than water, but that's not the full quote. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The relationships you choose are stronger than the ones you're born into. I chose to build something, a business, a life, and relationships with people who respected me. Some might say I was petty. Maybe I was. But after 8 years of being told there wasn't enough room, I learned something important. There is always enough room when you build your own. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's just living well and not shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable.